Hello everyone, this is StrawberryShorty back with the letter. I feel like every time we load it does this thing with relationships being new. Anyway, let's just jump right in so we can see if something cool happens, you know? Night falls, and despite my best attempts, sleep continues to elude me. With her image still stuck in my head, flashing every few moments, it catches me off guard. We really need commas. With Ma's lullaby still echoing in my ears, no longer the soft tune it once was. And the terrible gnawing at the pit of my stomach. It's no wonder I can't bring myself to drift off even for a little while. It is not as if there's a complete lack of things to do while waiting for sleep to come, if it ever will. And at 2:45 in the morning, I found myself cleaning my photography equipment for no other reason than just to pass time. Though, if I am going to be honest, it is not the night terrors that are keeping me wide awake tonight, but the anxiety and the hope I'll hear from Ash or Isabella soon. We should have asked them questions. And for what's perhaps the 42nd time, my eyes shift over to the end table where my phone still lies still. I've not heard from them since they left. They haven't promised to call, of course, but a small part of me wishes they would have the common sense at the very least. Ash doesn't have common sense. Waiting is a tough game, and with the concern stretching out the minutes far longer than usual, it's impossible for more unpleasant thoughts not to enter my mind. Moreover, it does not help that when the clock finally strikes 3, my hand stills. Here we go. It'll be a complete and utter lie to say my heart didn't leap straight to my throat in that brief second. My whole body has gone motionless, ears straining for any further sounds. A couple of tense seconds pass. Nothing. Of course, with how old the building I'm staying in is, power fluctuations aren't anything new. I think the ghost might be kind of new to that. Every now and then this would happen, leaving a few tenants in a rather bad mood. Nothing unusual anymore after a few years of living here. But this time, the sudden hush brings with it a stillness that raised the hair at the back of my neck and set my heart beating hard against my chest. Something reeks in the air, and in an instant this place is no longer home. It's a prison. Every rational fiber in my being screams at me to leave. I force myself to swallow and keep a clear head as I lay down all my cleaning tools and begin gathering together the rest of my things scattered about on the table. The camera's body, lenses, filters, diffuser, phone, anything my hand could reach, but in the resulting panic, like in the nightmares, it is the scent that reaches me first. A foul, putrid smell filling my lungs with a heavy stink of death. My fingers clamp tightly to the camera, holding it closer to my body as if the tiny thing would provide enough protection to whatever is with me in the room. Take its picture. Ghosts don't like that. It won't. It's the only comfort I have. And knowing that whoever she is, she had once been human. Perhaps not all of it is gone. Perhaps some of it is still there.
Hello? I know you're in here. What do you want?
Something moves behind me, a soft scuttling over the walls, followed by the squelch and painful creaking of what can only be rotten flesh and broken bones. Without hesitation, I whirl around, my fingers and camera ready, patiently waiting for another movement.
I can help you. Whatever it is that keeps you here, I can help. That's what the letter's for, ain't it? You don't have to keep taking people's lives.
There's a brief moment of silence after, and for a short while, I think my pleas worked. We're gonna get a jump scare. Then, with no warning, the shuffling resumes, and along with it are the sobs of a woman. Like, I don't think this is working. It says use mouse to look around. I can't see anything! That was a terrible one. The light flashes fleetingly one last time, allowing me a glimpse of her grotesque misshapen features before it is once again lost in the darkness. All of a sudden, her tune changes, no longer a soft cry, but a high-pitched shriek brimming with pain, grief, and anger. Every ounce of courage I've mustered flees from my body at the sound, and the next thing I know, my hand is gripping the knob and I'm wrenching the door open. The wails follow me as I flee into the night. Pacing has always been more of Ashton's thing than mine. When I want to think, I sit and let the minutes tick by until an idea comes to mind or my pulse settles down. And yet dried leaves and twigs crack under my shoes as I make another pass at them. Terror is too mild to describe what this is. There's no way in hell I'm going back. Whatever she is, pleading won't work. The moment we saw that letter, she's been after us.
But I can't run. Not this time.
Nearly 2 hours have gone by since I left the comfort of my room for the solitude of the park. I mean, I think she can attack us at the park. 2 excruciating hours since I've started making calls. No one's answering. Not even Rebecca, who has always kept her phone line open in case other people need her. Or Isabella, who frequently checks hers for any messages and readily responds as soon as she can afford. It does not help that Ash hasn't said a word where he went off to as well. Probably went to that mansion.
Damn it! I knew I should have asked him before I let him leave.
Knowing him, he can be anywhere, but there's really only one place he'll likely be at this time. The sun has already peeked over the horizon when I make it to the mansion. I have no idea what I'm expecting to see when I got here. There's Ashton, first and foremost. A part of me wishes my assumptions are correct and he's really somewhere close by on a stakeout, but I've never been the lucky sort when it comes to that kind of guessing. And even after I've made a round of the immediate vicinity, I could find neither hide nor hair of him. Calling him does no good either, considering how awful the signal here is. He can't be too far if he's really here, but if he is, he would have already noticed me by now. Instead, there is only silence, the kind too quiet to find any sort of comfort in. Even the trees seem to have fallen asleep, with the rest of the mansion oblivious to what's happening around it, a small island of stillness in the otherwise fast-paced world. No wonder the whole of Anselm feels at odds with the rest of Luxbourne. While the city is alive, growing every minute, breathing every second, and pulsating with life, the village remains unmoving. We haven't really seen the village, have we? Unchanged. It's not surprising the legend still lives up to this day, and why she's still here, walking its hollowed halls. And beyond me, the mansion looms ominously. But now ain't the time for fear. Even if Ash is not here, I've still got to let the Wrights know what I've seen, what's in their home. They're not gonna believe me. Well, then again, one look at Hannah, they might believe me. And whatever grievance Ash has with them doesn't matter. There might be grounds for imprisonment, but they don't deserve a brutal death at the hands of one malicious spirit. I mean, I don't know about that. We don't know what they've done. Hannah probably doesn't. And I'm sure Isabella would want the same thing. I head straight for their door without a second thought. It takes a few rings, the sound loud above the foreboding stillness before I hear footsteps on the other side.
Get it? Only a Nancy would knock at such an ungodly hour.
Oh good, it's Luke.
Here's that damn butler when I need him.
Before long, the door swings widely open with Mr. Luke Wright standing behind it. Are we gonna have another bad word? Seething would be complete understatement to describe him. Like this, I've got no doubt why Ash would find him a suspect.
You? How the hell did you get in here?
A walk?
What in seven hells do you want?
This dark aura.
It's bloody 6 in the morning!
Listen, sir, I know this is not a good time.
Oh, it's not a good time. Did you even check the clock before coming here? I bet you didn't. Unlike you, the ones living in this house need to sleep. Come back when people are actually awake, or I'll call security on you.
Before I can get a word in, he slams the door to my face and bolts it shut with much finality.
Wait, sir, you gotta hear me out. You're both in danger if you stay in there. Have you seen the news lately? Everything's not a coincidence.
Only silence answers me. Maybe if it was Mrs. Wright. Oh, who am I kidding? There are limits to how far a person will believe in you. Then again, I didn't believe Isabella when she warned us, and now I'm here, desperately trying to save people even if I'm aware it's completely out of my own capacity to do so. Is this what they call karma? If so, this is one horrible way of turning things around. Taking people's lives, playing with people's fears, making them feel useless.
You're around, ain't you? You here? Inside this house? Listening, watching, or whatever it is that you spirits do? What did they do to you? I can help you, you know? If it'll let you move on, I'll gladly do so. You don't have to kill anyone.
Nothing. I don't even know who I'm talking to or if a sane person is supposed to be doing that. The only thing I got after is a feeling of foolishness washing over me, or perhaps it's just me losing my mind. Out of other options and any other ideas, I let my hands slide off the door's surface and fall asleep in my sides. I can go back to Luxbourne, try to find the others, try to get out of this mess with them, or let them know how much in deep we all are. Both sound good. Either way, my loitering here ain't helping at all. I let the quietness calm me for a few more minutes before standing up and heading out to fetch my bike. It's quite a distance to Luxbourne, but if I hurry, I'll reach it in maybe... The rustling stops as soon as I turn around and strain my ears for any other movement around.
Yo, Ash, you there?
No answer. If he is here, and I've just missed him earlier. Already, my feet are moving in search of him for the second time. It won't hurt to double check. Triple check, even. With how big the property is, he can be anywhere. If things ain't so urgent, if they ain't so dire that lives are at stake, I'd probably have just waited for him to show up again.
But damn it! He needs to realize what exactly it is he's dealing with.
Maybe he already has. That is not just a petty criminal he could simply throw in jail. That it is something beyond the authority his police badge could ever give him. The guy needs to stop playing the big damn hero, sit down and chill. My breathing comes in short, shallow rasps by the time I make it back to where I started. Still no sign of it, I'm beginning to think I'm just wasting my time here. That is when I hear it. I recognize the melody in a heartbeat. Ma's favorite song. I listen for a while, trying to gauge where exactly from the house it's coming from. My feet start moving before I can stop them, and there, as I circle the corner, from a room on the first floor. A single window is open, but I can't make out whoever's inside. However, I'm sure the singing comes from there. Still, why I'll hear an old tune here of all places, I don't know. It's not an obscure song by all means, but it is pretty rare to find someone who knows this. And for some reason, death seems to follow this song around. Panic lodges itself at the base of my throat at once. Whoever's humming might be... I don't want to be the pessimist now, but on the off chances that it is Miss Wright,
Shit.
I shouldn't just barge in there. I can put myself in danger before I can save anyone. Ash will tell me so in the exact same words. Might even write me a dissertation why that is a bad idea if he ain't so lazy. But damn it, god damn it. Someone could be in danger. I don't know, like... Realistically, I don't think I would enter the open window, because I think it's a ghost. Like, I don't think it's someone actually in danger, and Hannah's kind of gone crazy. I want to keep looking for Ash. In the end, the rational part of my brain wins out, the half that has spent too much time around Ash. It's right, though, the reasonable part. If I do force my way in and find something unpleasant, how am I going to fight back? With my camera? I'm worried we'd get arrested. No matter where you look at it, that's simply asking for a painful
Have a better
death.
chance if I find Ash. Why is he snooping about?
Perhaps I should try the forest, make a round farther into the gardens. Not a sound plan, but it's better than nothing. The woman's soft saws is decided now by some means. Almost inaudible to the point where I'm wondering if I truly heard what I heard. I didn't get to dwell much on it though, because right at that moment my phone rings. The sharp notes cut and piercing through the thick quietude. I clamp a hand over it, pressing the button before the speakers are close to my ear. You better not tell me to come to the attic.
What part are you?
I only caught the tail end of the person's greeting on the other side, but I know the voice.
What was
well
that,
enough.
Ash? Could you repeat that? Signal shitty here.
I asked, where are you? Hell, Zach, I've been calling your number for a good 20 minutes now. What kind of shithole did you get into?
Good morning to you, too. I should be asking you that question. I've been looking all over the mansion for you. I thought you'd be...
What mansion?
Do I really need to answer that?
Why are you even... No, wait. Just get your ass here at Isabella's place, and hurry.
I shift my gaze into the mansion, specifically the window I heard the cries from. There is nothing of it now, not even echo.
How urgent is this?
Pressing enough for you to stop asking questions and get yourself here. Please, Zach.
That gives me a pause. It's a rare thing for him to take on that time.
I'll be there in a few. An hour or two, tops.
Thanks. I'll see you.
I rush back to my bike as soon as the call ends. The terrified Zachary went looking for Ashton in the Ermengarde mansion, but to no avail. He also tried to warn Luke Wright about the spirits supposedly living in the house, but was simply turned away. As he was about to give up, he received an urgent call from Ashton, ordering him to head straight for Salemwell Residences? That's ominous. I rush back to my bike as soon as the call ends. Without another look, I leave the mansion along with its haunting melodies and grim echoes behind. There are more important things than my curiosity and impulses. I really want to know what would have happened if we'd gone through that window, though. Oh, we're Marianne now. What is this picture? Little cat. So she's 30. Interior designer, former architect. Bachelor of Arts in Architecture, likes chocolate, cats, classical arts, country music, karaoke, board games, video games, anime, and other obscure pop culture items, yoga. She likes a lot. Left in a dumpster as a baby. Oh my gosh. She was found by a peddler and spent most of her childhood roaming the countryside in a beat-up van. Her father taught her how to read, write, and pray. Though an unconventional life, it was all she knew. Child welfare and protection eventually caught on and required that she have a proper education. She was provided a scholarship at St. Samson School for Young Ladies and was bullied for being a charity kid. Marianne had only one friend and was mostly focused on her studies, intent on graduating and returning to her father, ashamed that he was diagnosed with Alzheimer's soon after. Her work as an architect in Ireland lasted until the Irish economic crisis. She moved to England after some time, Luxmore, in search of better career opportunities. Who was the one friend that feels relevant? 7:15 p.m. The numbers are so little on the top of my screen, and they glare at me with such intensity that I can just hear their accusations. I'm late for a night out with the girls. Yes, but I have a perfectly good excuse, geez. Considering I didn't follow typical office hours, they really can't expect me to just go as I please at 5:30 on the dot. The client is first and foremost my priority. Oh, let's look at our relationships. We have a surprisingly good relationship with Luke. Not a bad relationship with Isabella either. I have to sit tight when my personal assistant, Chris, tells me we have a big one coming up and that I shouldn't miss this one. He knows a lot more than on the who's who and what's what when it comes to these socialites, and I trust the judgment call. I really don't have time for rich people, their drama, and their politics. These sort who were born with silver spoons in their mouths and who were used to wagging their silver tongues about. I let him handle the negotiating with them for the most part. Why else would I have hired him? But he told me I'd received a message about it an hour
Now,
ago.
if only he has the full shilling when it comes to the time.
Come on, I have a social life too, you know, to an extent. Sort of. Pressing my head against the table, I try to stave off an oncoming headache when the notification for a new email pops up. All I'm expecting is, hey, this looks like a good project I found. Go send them a design or something like that, really. That's how it often goes. Even with these rich, jammy clients who have heard of me from their equally rich, jammy friends, I can't expect them to hire me right off the bat. Which is all well and good and reasonable. I figure out what they want, send them my portfolio, my drafts for their projects, my rates, and hope for the best. This is a big client, Marianne. I'll babysit Baruthio for you. Let's see. Just please take this one project. I promise this person is huge in Luxborn. Oh, I guess they're gonna say it here. Mr. Parker, this is a formal request to secure the services of Marianne McCullough, hereinafter called the designer. As authorized by Hannah Wright, hereinafter called the client, for interior design work at Ermengarde Mansion, Luxborn, LX18, United Kingdom, whatever. So I guess this is like before all the craziness. The client hopes to have the designer here on 21 October, Friday with the time pending. But as I open the mail and see that I've been requested by the client specifically, well, I certainly didn't expect that, and it's pretty straightforward too. Anyone else would probably be excited. They'd be working with the Hannah Wright. She's just one of those rich socialites that everybody loves to talk about, no matter how hard I try to tune such nonsense out. It would have been enough for me to reply an affirmative to Chris and leave, but he has never pleaded for me to take a project before. We've worked with big personalities in the past, celebrities, bankers, and even a few politicians. My PA had been indifferent about those. So the question bounced about my skull before I spied one of the email attachments. A newspaper clipping from the Luxembourg Daily's business news section, boasting the headline, Wright Enterprise donates £25 million to refuge? The grand opening of a new Wright hotel last Wednesday, our local billionaire couple, Luke and Hannah Wright, announced the donation of £2.5 million to help Luxborn Refuge keep their services open. Unexpected but certainly welcome. This follows only a month after the couple's previous donation of the same amount to Save the Children UK. One of the largest donations, this amount will help keep the safe house in Luxborn open for several years. With this money, Refuge can keep helping women, children, and victims of domestic violence. There are rumors as well of the charity talking with the couple and looking into building a local center equivalent to their Gaia and Athena locations. These rumors have come to us due to one of the Enterprise's employees mentioning a Project EOS. It certainly caused quite a stir back then. Apparently they had invited businessmen and socialites everywhere in the guise of it being some big business announcement.
$2.5 million and an expensive-looking party to boot. These people sure know how to throw their money around.
Not that I should be so callous. They're going to do a lot of good and help a community of people with all those pounds. I, of all people, shouldn't criticize such acts whether they were for show or not. At the very least, I know they'll be able to pay my rates. With the headline out of the way, however, I found myself staring at the picture that came along with the clipping. Because, wow. Here I am expecting a sour old woman in a blazer and skirt, but the woman that was plastered on the front page looked like she belonged on the front page. Repeated words of the internet section, or even, if I'm to be crass, as the pinup for a glamour. Okay, I'll be real here. A men's magazine. She sure knows how to rock that dress. Wait. Her hair, her eyes, her lips? She can't be her. And at the same time, she is her, only several years older. She looks just like... No. Come on, Mac. The world is full of pretty blondes. It's just a coincidence. A connection. With a shake of my head, I snap out of it and reach for my phone when it buzzes, nearly falling off my chair in the process. Who else would be on the other line but the very people waiting for me?
Piss. I'm so sorry, Cam. I'm on my way.
Journal. An email from the Wrights came requesting Marianne McCullough's expertise for their home. What seemed like an innocent commission made a different impact on the famous designer after seeing a picture of the Wright missus. That's what I say. Yet I still don't move from my chair, face flushed and heart racing. I can only stare until I can will myself to reply that yes, I'm accepting the assignment. And it takes even more time for me to just close the image, shut down the computer, and leave. Even then, it has already burned its image into my head, no matter how much I wish it would just disappear. It makes me eager for the alcohol and the company. It makes me eager for anything that can help me forget. Did she bully us? She doesn't seem like that type. It's a good thing that the nearest pub is just a hop, skip, and a jump from here. The Galway Shawl as it is called by those who frequented the place, is the only decent Irish pub in this country. You can pretty much tell that someone is new if they call it by its official name, the Crawl Bar. My home away from home ever since I moved to Luxbourne. Well, that is when I'm not cooped up in my combo and working anyway. It has good alcohol, good company, and thank God in St. Cecilia, good music. Crowd favorites like Bothy Noise, The High, Wesleyan Men, and Second Fusion Orchestra are often played, not to mention the singing. I love singing. Anyone could just break out into a drinking song, and the others in the pub were just wonderful that they'd start singing along. And doing so while intoxicated is the best of ways to go about it. Hey, it's a win-win as long as I don't puke in the middle of the course, and as long as I can get home in one piece at the end of the day. And tonight is karaoke night. What better time than to try and sing all my worries away? That's what my intoxicated brain tells me.
The ghost of guilt and sorrow remembers who I am, and in the prison of my heart, I was my only slave.
I kind of ship her with Hannah now. I probably shouldn't, but drinking only reminds me of my home, and the thought of home makes me think of her.
But in the depths of my cold soul, I'll leave the burden and despair.
It makes me nauseous. It sickens me that the smallest reminder of her can cause me such grief.
I'll fight for what's worth fighting for. Forget the fear, forget the rest.
Of course, that might just be the booze. Any other day, I would have scolded myself for drinking so much.
I lied to the Lord, I lied to myself, I lied to you and everyone I care, until there were no more lies to tell.
But I already have a client, and we'll be having our first little meet and greet in a few days.
Cowardice is easier than being brave, but at last I found the strength I lost to sing my love letter to you. 'Cause people can lie, but my lone heart beats true.
I want to at least enjoy this night, get over the hangover tomorrow, and return to being a prim and proper professional after.
That song was for Cam, our lucky bride-to-be. So give her hand, Galway shawl.
Considering the state I'm in, one can excuse my smug grin as cheers and applause rise among the pub's patrons. Because, possibly off-key public singing aside, I feel like I'm on top of the world right now, and that's a good reason as any to belt out in front of these strangers. With good drinks and good friends, there's nowhere else I'd rather be tonight. And I forget for a short while.
And that song was brought to you by Marianne McCullough, everyone! A round of applause!
That was so good. You rock, Marianne.
Oh, please stop. You're just saying that.
You know neither of us can hold a tune, Marianne. A toast to our shameless drunk singer. May your drinks forever flow and your notes be ever lovely.
If anyone deserves a toast tonight, that's Cam. Finally sealed the deal after 3 years, eh?
Read them and weep, bitches.
Kamala's diamond engagement ring gleams as she holds it up for the world to see. She has reason to be proud. 3 years of living together, and her boyfriend finally asked her the big question. Obviously, she said yes.
Don't get too attached to that ring or the one after, sweetie. I was wearing a wedding ring not so long ago, and look at where I am. But enough of me being a downer. Cheers to a happy engagement!
Of course, if something like Haruna's divorce were to happen, I'd be there for Cam. Just as Cam had been there for me, acting more than just my yoga instructor. I can't be happier for my friend right now.
Cheers!
Cheers.
Well, we both will be there for Cam, won't we? Haruna and I. Haruna, it's been a real bad year for her ever since her divorce. She's such a nice person, even lending me money to open a studio, and she didn't deserve what her husband had pulled. I'm happy she's smiling again and pigging out like she used to. I think we've all missed our Japanese firecracker. We met in yoga class, something I joined to keep myself in shape, and, well, honestly, so that I could make friends when I had moved to Luxbourne. Clearly, it worked like a charm, and it definitely didn't have anything to do with the fact that I brought along my lucky D20 die with me on that first day. No, sir. I love these girls so much.
What about you, Marianne? You're 30 years old and you still haven't got yourself a man.
And you guys know I have a very busy schedule. I don't have time for that.
Oh, come on! That's a lame excuse and you know it! You need a man who'll take care of you and you need it now! Maybe some hunk who'll be your house hubby while you rake in the dough.
I'm quite capable of taking care of myself. Who needs a Mr. Right?
Well, ironically, you'll be meeting a Mr. Right.
Hey, look at me. I'm Marianne McCullough, a lawful neutral cleric with 9 points in wisdom and 8 in charisma, but I can't get myself a date.
I mentioned druids and demons once. They don't even know the rules or understand what the numbers mean. and I certainly am not some sort of holy person. I am a far cry from a miracle worker, and I barely have the willpower to fight off demons, especially my own.
Actually, maybe she isn't looking for a Mr. Right, but a Mrs. Right.
I kind of get that vibe.
Oh, my Marianne, we still love you even if you're in the closet.
That would explain some things. How do you know you don't have a ring anymore? Maybe you two can be together and I don't have to worry about my best girls being alone.
What are you on about? There's nothing to explain.
I feel like she has experimented, possibly with Hana. I don't know why, I just get that vibe. But the more I deny, the louder they tease until the other people in the pub start to watch. It doesn't help at all when Haruna drapes her arm over my shoulders and leans
Will
out.
I be all yours then? Will you be making me feel like a woman?
I know that they're just kidding around, but this doesn't make me comfortable in the slightest. So when Kamala notices my silence and Haruna sees the expression on my face, they stop. And when the awkward air settles over us, the rest of the pub goes back to whatever they were doing before the whole thing ever happened. They probably won't even remember when they wake up with massive hangovers anyway.
Sorry.
Me too.
Hey, no hard feelings, right?
I raise my glass. They smile. We drink. There's no need to say more. We're all definitely far too drunk tonight. Eventually the fun times end. It is a weekday after all. And with Haruna being a nurse, she still has to get ready for her next shift. Cam also has a loving fiancé waiting for her at home, and really didn't have to make a fuss about having left some buns in the oven when she took off early. Really, I understand. I was the one who insisted, who was determined to get pissed drunk anyway. Moving to the bar, I sit, alone at last. Alone with a stranger. Oh gosh. It's Mr. Right, and we don't even know it. I haven't seen him here before, obviously not a regular. He hasn't said a word and just sits there savoring his drink. Look, what are you doing here? You're not supposed to be drinking. Johannes is going to be very mad about this. With his whiskey served neat in one hand and lighter in the other, it doesn't seem like he's noticed me yet, and maybe I should go before he does look my way. Because he was pretty and he was blonde, and those two things plus alcohol never did me any good. She is definitely hooked up with Hana. A thought too late. Judging by the way his flushed face and his dazed look in his eyes, he's as pissed drunk as I am. But whereas I feel like I'm keeling over, he looks like he's still ready to take the catwalk by storm. Really, he just has the air of one of those men who think they own the world.
Hello there, sexy. Please don't stand up on my account. I already like what I see. Fancy a drink? It'll be on me.
But then again, I might be pleasantly surprised if he proves me wrong.
Want some between the sheets? Sex on the beach? I'm talking cocktails, of course.
Not a chance. But it doesn't matter, we both know how to play this game. And there are two different ways for the night to end. One thing or another is going to happen. Question is, what do I want to do?
Oh no, that's fine. I'd rather order some blue balls or some AMF if you don't mind.
He looks like he's about to say some witty retort, but stops himself and downs the rest of his whiskey. We better not hook up with him, he's married. I order a mint julep, he gets another whiskey, and we start the customary small talk. Of course, the saying, ask me no questions and I'll tell you no lies, goes without saying. We ask nothing about each other, offering up falsehoods to establish a strenuous fake connection between two strangers at a pub, if only to pass the time. Whiskey, as I've come to call him, is supposedly 21 years old, single, takes care of his sick mother, and is a manager of some sort. Like, I don't think you're 21, Luke. I don't know, but I don't think you're 21. Unless you're married to a 31-year-old woman. Manager of what? I didn't care to listen to the details. Meanwhile, Mint, as he has come to call me, is 29, and what did I say I was again? Oh yes, I told him I was a professional chocolate taster. Because fuck it, if I'm gonna lie about what my job is, I might as well make it fun. It's a pretty decent chat between two pretty drunk strangers. Maybe it's just me, but we might as fucking well expend the tiniest amount of effort in pretending there's something meaningful in this meeting. Would have been nice too if it was just left at that, but during a lull in the conversation he brings it up.
You know, I've never been with a woman taller than me.
Oh my gosh. And I think he might have been different from the rest.
Never have and never will, whiskey. Can we go back to the history of chocolates? Did you know that chocolate candy was introduced in 19th century England as a healthier alternative to alcohol?
St. Lucy was the most beautiful woman of her time. She had men come from the four corners of the world just to see the pure light of her exquisite green eyes. And she was so lucky anyway.
No, enough of the history lesson.
Go home to your wife, Whiskey.
Come on, Mint. You know and I know what you came here for.
Tie him up, put him in the trunk of the car, and take him home. Though not every suitor was gallant and she was no fool, she had known that sooner or later she wouldn't be able to defend her chastity.
Come on. There must be something that gets you going.
Oh god. I just want Johannes to just show up and just grab him and drag him out of the bar. So she'd taken out a knife and gouged out her own eyes. Wait, what?
There is something, but I don't think you can handle it.
Rule +10 initiative. I'm Impressed with her devotion, God restored her eyes and made them more beautiful than before. God, I don't think you're getting what she was going for here. He has a peculiar sense of humor, hasn't he? Because that only meant suitors kept going after Lucy, and she kept her eyes in a chalice to scare them away.
Oh, I'm pretty sure I can handle whatever it is.
St. Lucy, help me. Help me turn away from sin. Help me with my own
My
blindness.
place isn't too far from here. I won't take care of you if it ends up being
Marianne,
too
no.
much for you. And no one will be able to hear you if you try to scream. You sure you want to go down that road, pretty boy?
Say no, I don't want to have an affair with the married man.
Wouldn't have it any other way.
Oh, this is gonna be awkward. Marianne, no, what have you done? Marianne went to the crawl ball, or also called the Galway Shawl by its patrons, for a night out with her close friends Cam and Haruna. When they left, Marianne was seen with a stranger whom she only referred to as Whiskey. In turn, she was called Mint. We can only hope they don't remember any of this tomorrow. The best thing about having my condo so close to the pub is the ease of access. As long as I can still stand and walk, I can make it home. Maybe I'd need help from a kind neighbor or two to help me with the last leg if I've ever really gone overboard on the alcohol. But I always made it home. Sometimes with company. Of course, that always came with complications, especially with the real clingy ones. But it isn't anything a good tip about stalkers to the building security can't fix. I'm always nervous, though, even if this isn't the first time I've done this. And the first few minutes when we enter my room are the first few agonizing minutes where I try not to panic. Okay, Max, so far so good. Don't let him smell your fear under all that liquid courage. He'll leave sooner or later and I'll never have to see him again, just like every other man before him. I'd like to say to myself that the men I've brought to my place were more scared than I was. Yet there is no fear when I look into Whiskey's eyes, only delight. When he starts touching me, I don't even hesitate when I push him against the door. Roughness is to be expected. This is getting really awkward. And as long as he sticks to the script, everything will go smoothly. We'll have our little tumble in the sheets, he'll leave, we'll forget about it. This is gonna be really awkward. If somebody asked what I really wanted, I would have told them that I wanted a bed of roses, chocolates and music, maybe an Irish castle. But all I really want is her, and that's never gonna be a reality. I don't know. Getting pretty close. That was my fault, of course, because I was afraid, because I was a coward. They would never hold a candle up to her. She was the light of my life, and I had let her go. Now I'm about to sleep with her husband. I can't even be bothered by the thought of her. Just the single thought of her makes my resolve to see this affair through waver.
Wait!
Yes, don't do this. It would be a mistake.
What is it now?
Yes, what is it now? What's it gonna be, Marianne? To have sex or not? No, this is wrong.
We're both drunk.
Oh, good. He likes us more now.
And...
This is wrong. Don't you think it's a bit fucked up that we're about to have sex and we're just calling each other by the drinks that we had? How messed up are we?
Doll, shut up with the ethics and morality talk. It is seriously putting me out of the mood.
He really seems to like it when women don't go along with him.
If you want to leave now, Whiskey, I understand. I mean, with how smashed you are, it'd probably be best for you to sleep the night unless you want to be mugged. But I won't stop you. And this isn't going to happen.
Bloody hell.
Hey, someone actually using inflictions. Of course, he's annoyed at me for putting off our night of sexual congress, but no means no. And beyond spewing a few profanities under his breath, he surprisingly simmers down soon enough. I was worried for a moment he might try to force something. Instead, he makes a show of fixing his suit and smoothing out his hair before making himself comfortable on the nearest seat he could
What are
find.
you doing then? You have a guest in your home. Put the damn kettle on.
I'm going to pause and check the time. Yeah, I also went to get a drink. What are you doing? Okay, we go.
Dandelion tea if you have it. But I suppose all you have are those shitty tea bags from the store.
Wonderful. If it isn't for the absurdity of this turn of events, I would have flipped him off for thinking I have no taste. But in the end, I just laugh. All I got are cans of Korean ginseng and lemon balm, though, no dandelion. But a second thought, I do wet the tea. That's 3 minutes to get the kettle to a boil. 3 minutes where we say nothing to each other. I mean, what do you even say to the guy I was going to sleep with until I changed my mind? I doubt he's in the mood to talk about the influence of Troy's on Mallory. It's still unusual by the time we're both seated on my bed with mugs of tea in hand.
Just so you know, whatever is going on right now is a lot stranger and fucked up than the one night stand.
We are two messed up individuals by your logic.
Everything is messed up, if you ask me. War, terrorism, famine, poverty, loved ones and loved lost. This whole world is a cesspool.
The dead air is telling when it fills the room once more. One would think that this is the perfect time to burst, to spill about whatever issues that made us the fucked up person that we are today. And it is. But I guess some small part of me would rather not put the weight of my problems on somebody else's shoulder. It wouldn't be fair to leave that to a person when I don't even know if we'll ever see each other again, or we will. Sooner rather than later, we both pass out on my bed, mugs left forgotten on the floor. It's weirdly wholesome. When I wake, Whiskey is already gone. Thanks for the tea, Marianne. Whiskey, a bottle of painkillers, and a note on the table are the only evidence that I wasn't alone last night. I don't even question where these are from or just how he knew my real name. I'm just grateful for something to help with the hangover. Might as well. Marianne and Whiskey went back to her condo after having one too many drinks. However, Marianne changed her mind about the one-night stand and ended up sharing tea with him instead. The next morning, the stranger left nothing but a note and a bottle of painkillers. Phew. Bullet dodged. Might as well. I have a job to do. It isn't often that I think about drinking on the job, but after meeting with the Wrights yesterday, it really makes me want to break my self-imposed rules. Oh, you gonna make us miss that meeting? Because first off, fucking damn Whiskey was fucking damn Mr. Wright. And to top it all off, they had somehow forgotten to inform me that they didn't own the Ermengarde mansion yet when they hired me. What sort of person does that?
Ugh, rich people.
I could do nothing but twiddle my thumbs at this, however. Twiddle my thumbs and wait for the go signal. It's not like I can accept other smaller projects. This is a big job and I should be ready to start on it at any time. Not to mention that my PA practically begged me to be patient and wait this out. It was a hard decision to agree, but I did so in the end. Besides, I'm doing this for the Ermengarde mansion, not for anything or anyone else. I love that mansion. I'd have a headache whatever I do anyway. I'd go to the pub again, but seeing what happened a few days ago, I'd rather not end up in bed with another potential client. It might be a huge leap in logic, but in a library is the next best thing after the pub. I want him to just be there drunk. I have to go there anyway. I need more books for Dad. Plus I need to return the ones I borrowed last time. Finding a new book or two to read for myself while I have nothing to do isn't such a bad idea either, so who are we going to run into? I think it's going to be Ash or Rebecca. So on a Saturday morning, I found myself going to the only library in Lexborn to, hopefully, cool off. After returning an Urzuli and a poetry book by Henry of Podbrady, I asked the librarian about the several titles on my list, though I don't have much luck on that front. Dialogue with Death has already been snatched, and she bluntly said that she did not keep Our Mathematical Universe for someone who didn't return books on time. I make headway at last when I ask about Siege and Rendition of Havana by Jacob de Puzuela. You counter snarling and pointing at the history section as a headway, that is. History section is devoid of any other except for myself and a redhead, though I'd wager a guess that Red's just passing by to get to the classical literature section. So many books, so little time. Scanning the books and seeing so many wonderful titles gives me great pleasure. And that's when I spent.
Hello, sailor. Why don't you come to Mama?
It's not the naval book I was looking for, no, it's even better. The newly acquired History of Luxborn Architecture, first edition too. I know I just have to get it. I've been waiting to get my hands on this book for so long. The fact that there's only one copy proves to be a problem, though, when Red reaches out for it the same time I do.
I think I had this first, miss.
I knew it would be Rebecca! But her hair's pink, not red. Rebecca, I'll fight you. I can only stare her down when she refuses to let go of the book. But aren't we, like, rich? Can't we just buy one? Refusing to let go of it as well, I raise a brow at her in the hopes that the fact that I was significantly taller than her would intimidate this girl. Even then, she refused with a rebellious
This
look.
isn't exactly light reading, miss. I mean, do you even know which architect was at the forefront of 18th century Irish architecture?
Don't talk down to her, Marianne. A beat. She blinks and I can't help the smirk on my face, which is wiped off when she opens her mouth.
Edward Lovett Pierce, who established the Palladian style through his work with Castletown House and Irish Houses of Parliament.
Yeah, you tell her, Rebecca.
This bridge was destroyed in this year to delay French troops while under the regency of Mary of Guise.
This is not what I was expecting. Let's be honest, how many people would know these history facts? Aside from me, anyway.
Going right to the obscure ones, aren't you? Easy enough. Tullybody Old Bridge in Clackmannanshire, Scotland, on the January of 1560, if we want to be specific.
Suddenly, it's a game where we throw out history questions and facts at each other, back and forth in hushed tones unless we want to be thrown out of the library. After a while, it goes from some strange competition to this strange but friendly banter, if it could be called that. But as fun as it is, the exchange soon slows down until we're grinning at how odd the whole scene is.
Marianne McCulloch, my desire for potatoes doesn't quite match what the stereotypes suggest.
Rebecca Gales, the Scots' supposed hatred for the English wasn't enough to stop me from teaching their little spawns.
By then, we'd forgotten about our little tug of war, although she still holds the book in her hands. I'd let go of it without realizing when she answered my first question.
History teacher, then?
Got it in one.
No wonder you gave me a run for my money. Now, if we're talking about architecture, I'd blow you out of the water. You're from where? Luxburn Uni?
Oh no, just St. Goretti's.
Ah yes, St. Goretti. You'd think a school would choose a more appropriate saint to name themselves after, especially when they have very young students.
And I'm guessing you're an architect, if you're so confident about the subject.
I actually don't know what St. Gertie is.
Interior designer, Miss Gales.
Please, just call me Rebecca. You aren't one of my students, are you?
Marianne, then.
I could have said that I was an architect, but there's no point in explaining why I wasn't anyone.
So, I've never seen you before. I'd like to think I've met every history aficionado in town.
I blame the rock I've been hiding under, of course. That, and I'm usually only here on the weekdays if time allows. Work often has me meeting clients on the weekends.
That must be interesting work.
It allows for some creative freedom, sure, but it's like working with children sometimes. Though you probably have it harder working with actual children. The hardest part is convincing them that your idea is their idea.
That sounds exciting.
It is!
But isn't that true for any workplace, though? We just cross our fingers and hope there aren't any man-children in charge of important things.
I have a client who wants a helipad.
Any big projects right now? I can't imagine that interior designing is a frequent thing.
I'm working on the Ermengarde mansion. Lucky me. That mansion. Inta. Wonderful. Breathtaking. I can't wait to start in it. Now that is beautiful architecture.
A pause. It looks like she wants to say something at the mention of the house. I'm not surprised. That place is certainly popular with the locals, especially with the urban legends attached to it. In the next second, though, she seems to think better of it and drops what she's about to say.
So, do you have a portfolio or anything I can take a look at? I'd love to see your designs. Maybe you have some on a tablet? I've met some designers before, and they're always going crazy over these virtual room apps or another.
I have an app like that I play around in.
A tablet? Please. Callicrates didn't need those silly eye-tabs when he built the Parthenon. I certainly don't need one to design a house.
The computer back at my place is all I have. Why would I buy such an expensive gadget that will just get outdated within the year, when what I have is just as functional? The traditional ways had far more personal touch, in my opinion. Not to mention, those smartphones are awful tools of procrastination. It's just traditional ways. That'd be like a notebook or something. I can't even count on one hand the number of people I see outside, only to have their eyes glued to the things. And fuck touchscreens. They're evil things that make typing, which should have been a simple task, harder. And she's not wrong on that.
I do have an online portfolio, if you'd like. I can...
Speaking or thinking of the devil seems to have summoned it, because before I can even carry on, Rebecca's attention wanes as she pulls out her mobile. From what I can only assume is a call, she gives me an apologetic look before standing up and excusing herself. Off farther into the aisle she goes for some privacy. I do my best to give it to her as well, trying to tune her
Belle,
out.
is something wrong? Lunch at the coffee house? Sure, I can make it. I'm not too far. I can be there in 10.
But with how quiet the surrounding is, she can't blame me if I overhear snippets of her conversation. When she returns with a sheepish look on her face, I know that her friendly chat has to be cut short.
Sorry, I have to go and meet with some friends.
It's fine. Totally fine. No need to even apologize.
About the book.
Her embarrassment increases twofold when she realizes she's still holding on to history of Luxembourg architecture. I don't give her time to think about it as I put up a hand and shake my head. Fishing out a pen and paper from my bag along with one of my business cards, I hand them over to her.
You know, I'm busy with work, so I might not even be able to take a peek at it anytime soon. You can go ahead and have it, but you'll have to ring me up when you're returning it just so I can snag it right away. Deal?
She makes quick work, penning her number down and handing it back to me with a grin.
Deal. Just message me during school hours, of course. You have a good day then.
You too.
With Rebecca gone, I'm left alone standing in the history section. Although my original plans were simply to sit down and read a good book, our little pop quiz, if you could call it that, made the time pass by without any of us realizing it. It was fun, and I do believe I made a new friend. Good job, Marianne. Even with the talk of lunch, however, I don't feel like grabbing a bite to eat. There's still other books to be read here, and I'm hoping to find something that will help me while I work with the rights. Something like How to Deal with Arseholes Professionally 101, just in case. I've dealt with a lot of uppity, snooty, rich clients before, but it's still better to be safe than sorry, because Luke Wright just takes the fucking cake, and he probably manages to eat it too. Seems the world is conspiring to keep me from my me time as my mobile vibrates in my pockets the moment I find something from the shelves of the classic literature section.
Marianne McCulloch, Charlie Rose Design speaking.
Rose!
Rose Cooper here, Miss McCullough. I hope I didn't catch you at a bad time or anything, but I just wanted to check in and tell you that we've got the clear to hand over the documents. Madam Wright told us that we should forward the floor plans to you.
Already? How do they go through the process so fast? Surely there's so many red tape to even acquire the forms and transferring of rights. No matter how much the rights are, it shouldn't be this quick, right?
So, if I can just have your email, I'll be sending them your way.
I'd actually like a physical copy of the floor plans.
Oh, I suppose that's fine. I'm not at the office right now, but I can inform Miss Santos of your request.
I'll make sure to drop by the office after lunch if that's fine.
Not a problem. Right. Well, cheers.
Right. Cheers.
I don't know. I just don't. Is there some sort of deeper miscommunication when we last met? These things take time. It's been, what, a day? Less than that even? There isn't even a point in trying to make sense of these people who seem to be larger than life. Oh, journal. No, different day. Oh, there's a little picture of Rebecca. Marianne befriended Rebecca Gales during a visit to the library. Marianne received a call from Rose Cooper afterwards, informing her that the Ermengarde Mansion's floor plans are ready for pickup at their office. It's the day of the blessing. As it looks like I'm on the clock starting today, I might as well eat. Grabbing some fish and chips from one of the street food stalls, I find a table to spend some time with a copy of Marquis de Sade's The Crime of Love, since Rebecca left with the book I wanted. I've read this one before, along with the rest of his works. This would be the 18th time, in fact. But it's always nice to read through it again when I don't have time to enjoy something new. Besides, when you're dealing with people so filthy rich they just end up plain filthy, you need the good old Marquis sound
La
advice.
blessure se trouvant sans aucune sorte de conséquence.
The wound being without any consequence. Of course, it's folly to think that things have no consequences when everything actually does. Briar Realty Corporation's Lexburn branch isn't too far off from the city center. Just a few blocks away, and I can easily eat and walk. I'd rather use this time to rest before I go into a flurry of activity. No doubt there'd be so much more to do once we get hands-on with the mansion.
Still a lot better than working on another condo, at least.
Surely no matter how much BRC and the old owners put into the restoration and preservation of the place, any big repairs would be superficial at most. I'm quite certain that in their haste to sell the property, they did a rush job. It isn't an infrequent thing to do, despite how it's frowned upon. There'll be a lot of hidden issues that I will need to weed out, and I have to make sure I find every single one of them, especially the more serious damages. Structural integrity is definitely on top of the list we will have to consider. The building might look sturdy, but it is centuries old. That alone will likely pose a few problems here and there, put limitations on what we can do. Besides, despite how much I detest these rich snobs, they can pay rather handsomely, so long as they do an excellent job and do more than necessary. Those two things have always made sure the referrals keep coming. I don't even have to hunt down projects for myself. When I go to BRC's office, I can't help but stop and stare when I enter the building. With the lunch hour closing, employees should have been back already if they still aren't filtering through the doors. I get that it's a Saturday, that people probably feel tired and lazy to be working on a weekend, but they're still on the clock and not bumming about wasting company time on extended lunch breaks and cigarette sessions. The office is spacious, as it is with these big corporations. Each person is given their little space, of which usually a 2x2 meter cubicle. There's a lot more empty chairs than there are actual people working at the desks. It reminds me far too much of my last day at Portascova Projects during the massive layoffs due to the Irish economic crisis. But it isn't just that, though. Everything is as quiet as a grave. It's as if these people are merely ghosts. Speaking of ghosts, Santos comes in through the door looking as if she's just seen one. She looks at me, wide-eyed like a deer caught in the headlights, ready to bolt at any moment. I'd ask out of concern, but I feel it's not my position to do so. What if it's something personal? I'd simply be overstepping my boundaries. Is this because of the cat? Really, it's none of my business.
I presume that Miss Cooper told you why I'm here, Miss Santos?
Huh? Oh, yeah. Sorry, I just got back from lunch, you know? But it won't take too long. Don't worry.
Of course it won't. This whole project has established itself to be a matter done in haste. I do hope it doesn't mean that people are being careless in their duties.
Like 6 people have disappeared. There's nothing to worry about. She flinches and looks like she doesn't quite know how to respond to that. Thankfully, instead of opening her mouth, she leads the way towards her station and goes to fetch the floor plans. It won't take too long, as she said, but it does take a bit. Time spent to compose herself, most likely.
You know, we usually just email these things.
I prefer the real thing.
Not that you would know. You probably have your nose stuck in front of a smartphone when you're not working, and even when you should be working, playing those mindless addictive games. Wow, judgy. I definitely wish Chris would stop playing that Batcat thingy during work hours, too.
I know what you mean. Digital painting is nice, but nothing beats the smell of real paint. Not that I go and smell paint like a crazy person, but, you know, the real thing is different.
Wait, what?
Yes, nothing is quite like the real thing.
Checking out the floor plans, I see that I have a lot going for me. Now I know how Ray felt when he found the Central Park West building floor plans from that one movie. Music room, porch, there's the entrance, the dining area, kitchen. It's nice to actually get like a layout of this place. It's a little small though. The attics, the bedroom, the theater. We got a theater? Alright. This is why I became an architect in the first place. Jacobean style at its finest. It's a thing of beauty. Look at these gorgeous rooms, the delicate harmony between empty spaces. And speaking of empty spaces, there's something rather odd about these
I
rooms.
feel a bit silly saying it out loud because I've never lived in a big house, let alone a mansion. But during the tour, I had the distinct impression that the rooms were bigger.
It's a map, it's not life-size.
Maybe the scale is wrong? It's not much of a problem. And it is an old house.
There had been little details here and there that I would have liked to address during the open house too, but it was all forgotten in the wake of Miss Santos's incident and the trouble with ownership. The wine cellar is going to be a problem. I shudder to think what sort of repairs they did to the place. There might have been things that were slipped under the rug, pushed to the dark corner of the rooms, and hidden away in barrels. Water damage could be covered up. There had been floods due to heavy rains in West England just last year, after all. And if there's any sort of damage to the house's foundation, that's going to be a lot of work. I was not able to look at the attic as well. For all I know, a whole family of vermin could have made their nest there. Working with pest control is always the worst. Not as bad as ghosts. The sheer size of this place is staggering, even if I did just say it was a lot smaller than I thought. I might just be biting off more than I can chew, but who doesn't like a good challenge? First things first, I'll have to...
So, do you want a coffee? The one from the staff room is pretty decent.
There's really no need. I'm sure you have rules against it.
Rules against bringing someone coffee? That's ridiculous. And even if there were regulations against it, nobody's really here to tell Sir John. I've already brought 2 mugs, and I'm not going to drink them on my own. Come on.
I have to stamp down my annoyance at being distracted. Seeing the girl, the young woman though, it looks like she has a lot on her mind. If babbling is her way of dealing with stray thoughts, I'm not really the one she should be babbling to. How should I respond? I'll be polite. I give her time to speak up. Hey, we like each other more now. But when she just stares, I clear my throat.
Yes? You have something to say?
As embarrassment creeps up her face, I snatch one of the coffees from her and take a sip. Too hot.
Just thinking and speaking off the record, it must be fun what you do. You go to people's houses and you make them, well, pretty. You're sharing your art with them.
It's a little bit more complex than that, but if you put it that way, it is fun. I wouldn't have done it for 7 years if it wasn't a little bit fun, I guess.
These big clients always have paintings in their homes. Do you have a supplier for art pieces?
I didn't expect to hear such a question from her, seeing how well she handled herself yesterday. I didn't doubt then why she was assigned to an important sale like the Emmergard mansion despite the little accident she had. Now she just looks too young, too nervous, and unsure of herself, although her enthusiasm must make up for that in spades. In fact, I wouldn't have believed it if she had introduced herself the way she is at the moment. While watching her now, she looks like she could still be in college. Acts a bit like it too when I think about it. I thought she was a teen slumming it out in the mansion when I first saw her there lying on the ground. Surprise, surprise, she turned out to be one of the estate agents handling the property.
The clients usually support artists of their own choice. If they don't, I'm always happy to refer those that I know.
That's cool.
They're very picky. I don't think a hobbyist will have an easy time getting their work sold.
Hey, I'll have you know I was a student of the fine arts.
And yet here you are, selling property. Maybe you weren't a very fine student of the arts.
Maybe I took that a bit too far. She bites her cheek and it looks like she's barely holding herself back.
It's not like I had a choice.
She mutters it under her breath. I barely even hear it. But the hurt is there, and it makes one wonder what brought it on. Although it is understandable if her reason's what I think it is. Very few people make it big in the art world. I see why she'd be upset about it with that enthusiasm. I didn't have a choice when I left Ireland. It was that or years of unemployment. The recession and the toll it took on the construction industry was out of anyone's control. I don't know what choice she wasn't able to make, whether it was about her being at art school or something else. But the world isn't a fair place, and the sooner she accepts it, the better. Still, with that forlorn look on her face, I can't help but sigh. The girl reminds me far too much of myself when I was younger.
Well, if you're thinking of commissioning your paintings, I'll have to see your work first.
Oh, it's not... I didn't mean it like that. I don't have any paintings.
Really? You sounded a lot like you still did art or want to. Now I'm starting to worry that you might just like the smell of paint.
I'm not a paint huffer, sheesh. I just mean I don't make much anymore. I don't really have the time for it. The tools and materials aren't exactly cheap either.
Everything has a price. It sounds like you're making excuses for something you're presumably passionate about. If you really want to practice art, a little out of your wallet isn't much.
It's not that simple.
It's not? Life's simple. People just like to make it complex.
It was not simple.
Speaking off the record, I have some advice for you, kid. Either go for what you want, or stop thinking about it when you have something else. That is unless you enjoy making yourself miserable. Then by all means.
You know, if you wanted to look at the floor plans without me bothering you, you could have just said so.
Would you have left me alone?
We'll never know now, will we?
A strained air settles in the room afterwards. Rare. Marianne visited BRC to pick up the floor plans. She was assisted by Isabella Santos, and the two shared a brief talk about art, which ended with Marianne leaving a piece of advice to Isabella. Strained air settles in the room afterwards. It doesn't help that she doesn't immediately leave as she has said, lingering awkwardly by the door with that downcast expression. It's clear there's more she means to say, perhaps even to defend herself and her choices in life, or is she expecting me to dish out more of that advice? It's an awkward affair and I choose to hightail it out of the realty office as quick as I can. Though I'm able to keep myself professional at all times does not mean I like it. And seeing the most of the day has already gone by before I realize it, I choose to head back to my flat instead, despite today being a Saturday. No fun, but at least this way I can definitely avoid another unpleasant encounter, which probably means we're going to have another unpleasant encounter. Considering how much I'll be seeing Whiskey in the near foreseeable future, I have a feeling I'll need all the rest the weekend can give me. For the first time in a long while, excited as I am to work on the mansion, I cannot wait to be over and done with this project. Oh, no run-ins with anyone. I'm gonna pause this to check the time. Ugh, sorry, pausing got a little weird there. Kind of closed the program. So, we should end this part soon, but we'll try and get somewhere first. Monday couldn't come any sooner. After taking the floor plans from Miss Santos the day before the last, I spent most of my Sunday drawing up plans and calling in my suppliers. Although no design choices have been made yet, I'm quite sure that they'd want high-end appliances, the most expensive materials, and the most pretentious everything. They usually did, these rich types, based from experience at least. Given how badly this whole thing started, it wouldn't hurt to be prepared. I have to check myself, make sure I'm not playing with my gloves as one of the other building tenants takes the elevator up with me. It makes me self-conscious when the woman's eyes go over me, and I'm sure she was going to point out some perceived flaw in my physical appearance. But I'm safe from being paranoid when they went off a few floors later. Still, the ride up to my floor is nerve-wracking. The Wrights lived at the very top of the penthouse, the creme de la creme when it comes to condominium and urban living. Just getting access to the place is an ordeal of its own. I had to jump so many hoops, so many security checks just to secure a key card, not only because of building management, but because of the Wrights' personal security. It sometimes felt like I'm being interrogated for a crime, not visiting a client at their home. Even when their personal assistant called in to help verify my presence, the process is aggravated rather than hastened. Speaking of the devil... Okay, we're gonna end this part here. Like, almost been recording for an hour. This is gonna be like a billion parts. So, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this part. Please leave a comment, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!